Wow, great fights last night. Uh, what more can you say? First, let's talk about Robert Guerrero, Andre Berto. Mm, 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 mm. Berto. If anything that was proven last night, you really proved how mentally unstable you are. I hate to, just talk down on you and stuff like that, but you had an excellent training camp. You came in the ring in tip-top shape. As soon as the bell rang, what do? There's no possible way you could have been in camp for 8 weeks working on the Mayweather defense, because that's not your game. And Tony Morgan, your trainer, don't know how to teach it to you. So what I thought, maybe he saw Adrian fight last weekend. He was like, if it works for Adrian, work for Mayweather, it's gotta work for me. Rude awakening. It don't. You gotta put a lot of hours in, a lot of sparring in, figuring out how to use it correctly. You can't just up and use it in a title fight and you never used it before and think it's gonna be beneficial. One thing I did like though is the fact that Berto did start the fight using the jab. He was committed to the jab. It was straight. It was fast. It had a little something on it. Berto's he didn't have weaknesses in terms of strength, power, and hand speed. Those were his strengths. Those weren't his weaknesses. His weaknesses. He didn't commit to a jab. He would abandon the jab. He stand right in front of you, and every time you walk inside, instead of pivoting out or just fighting on the inside, he just tie you up, which is amateurish. And he's not the only one that does that. Jermaine Taylor had a bad habit of that. Every time you get close to him, he just tie you up. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess bottom line is Robert Guerrero did his homework on Berto. I mean, he really watched those tapes, or his father watched those tapes, since he's being trained by his dad now. And they knew exactly how to come at Berto. Initially I thought Robert would just use his natural skills as a boxer and just, mix Berto up with his hands. But like you said, after the fight is over, initially I was gonna fight on the outside, but Berto has fast hands. He's strong. He's got a good punch. So I went on the inside, and it was brilliant, man. That shows you right there. Not only has Robert filled in as far as his body wise at welterweight, which he has. He looked pretty big up in there. But he's a smart fighter. He's not just a skilled boxer. He's smart, man. He's doing what he has to do to win. A lot of fighters, or a lot of fans, they're quick to down a guy because he's not showing them the flash and the hand speed and the big power shot, precision counter punching like a fighter may have done in previous fights. But like I've said, especially like on the radio, when the bell rings, the fighter is not thinking about no fans. You just got to understand that. When the bell rings, the only thing the fighter is thinking about is how to put my foot in his ass. The guy standing on the other side of the ring from him. He's not thinking, oh, what do the fans want to see? How do I make the fans scream my name? Dude, it's war. You know what I'm saying? It's a guy looking at you trying to whoop your ass, and you're looking at him and you're trying to whoop his ass. The only thing you're paying attention to is what the referee's instructions are and what your corner is saying to you, shouting from your corner. That's it. You're not thinking about what the fans will want to see. You're thinking about how to secure this win, how to get this W. And in the fight with Guerrero and Berto, some of the fans were disappointed because Guerrero elected to fight on the inside. Made it a street fight. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I was even tweeting about it. I was like, the Ghost has taken a page from Bernard Hopkins' playbook, because that's exactly who he reminded me of, a prime Bernard Hopkins. Maul your ass. See, what made Bernard so special, man, and sometimes not eye appealing, is because he outfought all the boxers and outboxed all the fighters. He was a very smart man in the ring. Look, when the bell was ringing, I guarantee you he could give a fuck about what the fans were thinking or if they were pleased with the performance or not. You win, you move forward. That's the boxing game. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with Berto. He did a lot of stuff Bernard used to do. He took away Berto's range, took away his punching range, made him real uncomfortable. He knew Berto would tie him up if he got in close, and Berto, as soon as he got in close, Berto would try to hold him. And Robert Guerrero, he was the one that had the free hands. So what did he do with his free hands? Work. He worked. He was digging to that body, hitting him in his ribs, hitting him in his body, hitting him upstairs with shots to the face. You know what I'm saying? Berto would hold, he would rabbit punch because he couldn't find any opens because he don't have no inside game. And that's kind of strange, a guy, having shorter arms, faster hands and stuff like that. He's very uncomfortable in close. And the only shots that he could get off were uppercuts, but he had to create space for it. And it was very seldom he can create space. Why? Because Guerrero was pushing his ass on the ropes, putting his body up against him, smothering him, mauling him. Nasty. He was even using his head-butting him, subtle headbutts, a la Holyfield, out of Bernard Hopkins. And he made it real dirty up in there. And I loved every bit of it because I said countless times again, it's only dirty if you get caught or if it's obviously or flagrant, like you really trying to bam, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that everybody can see it, but those little headbutts here and there, little elbows, little forearms here and there, they pay dividends, and they will bust you up too. But if you can get away with it, do it where the referee can't see it. Like Guerrero, he was hitting Berto in his hip on the referee's blind side. It really helped to the fact that he had an 80, 90-year-old ref in there who really couldn't see shit. It was brilliant. I have no problem with what he did. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. In fact, it only let me know that Roberto Guerrero's on a whole different level because I didn't even know he had that in him. Most of the times that he fought like at featherweight or super featherweight and the like, I didn't see him fight like that. He fought on the outside. He used his distance. He used his stick. He used that straight left. He used those hooks. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't often that I saw, Guerrero fight like that. In fact, I don't even recall ever seeing him fight like that. Much less, or much more rather, he did it at welterweight against a very strong welterweight. You know what I'm saying? Pushed him around, mauled him around, bullied him. You know what I'm saying? And beat him down. He beat him down just like he said he would do. He didn't stop him. But look at Berto's face after that fight. Now, the first punch, the first eye swelling, that was a thumb. Yeah, they were like, it's a great punch, but the thumb is on the inside. That's what hit his eye. And if you've been around the sport, you've seen that countless times. I mean, Eric Morales got thumbed like a billion times. And it's the same reaction. Every time you see that eye immediately puff up like that, it's a thumb. More than likely, it's a thumb. But that second one was straight hammers. You know what I'm saying? Guerrero was just fucking him up. For lack of a better words, Guerrero was just beating him down. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like Berto just finally gave up. I mean, you could tell he was visibly frustrated in the fight. Body language. Body language tells it all. Facial expressions. His gestures to the ref, like, are you going to do something? Because what Berto wants to do is when he ties you up, he wants the ref to come over there and break him so they can reset. And the ref wasn't going for that. And we've had debates about this. It's about what the referee will allow. This particular referee is kind of like Steve Smoger. He will allow some rough and tough fighting on the inside. He's not like who was that quickly breaks guys up? Joe Cortez. He's not like Joe Cortez. As soon as you begin to touch each other or to clinch each other, he breaks you. He don't really allow a lot of inside fighting. This particular ref, Lou Moret, he let you get it in. You know what I'm saying? So in times like that where you feel like your opponent is getting dirty and bullying you around, You can't complain. You cannot officiate the fight and fight the fight. A fighter only has one job: fight. That's it. You have to leave all the officiating to the referee. And if he allows it, you got to figure a way how to deal with it and how to adapt. And that's something that Berto still does not know how to do. This was not um, a knock on Robert Guerrero. Robert Guerrero went in there and handled his business, dominated Berto, won the fight, called out Floyd Mayweather. If will he get that fight? Who knows? You know, Floyd seems to think boxing revolves around him, so there's no telling what he may do. But I tell you what, Robert Guerrero, if he doesn't get Floyd, he's really opened up the eyes of a lot of guys. I know he's opened up my eyes. I didn't think he was a legit welterweight. I didn't respect his power a whole lot at this weight. The only thing I respected about him at this weight was his heart and his skills. But all that has changed. I respect the fact that he is a legit welterweight. He was huge in there. I respect his power at this weight. He buckled Berto right there in round one. And he really, he really made his presence felt. He has deceiving power, man. He'll back you up off of him. You know what I'm saying? He'll make you respect that he's in the ring with you. And that's all you can pretty much ask for. I think had he just boxed Berto and kept lining him up for that straight left, he probably could have knocked Berto out like he said he could do. But it's a reason why you change your game in the middle of the ring as opposed to just doing what you were initially doing if it was successful. He must really respect Berto's power. So he just, took the fight in close quarters where Berto was very uncomfortable and just could not adapt to it. He really got mauled up in there. Berto don't really have any defense, and he definitely doesn't move his head a lot, and that's kind of strange. But it's back to the drawing board, and whenever they were in the corner, you could never really hear what the instructions were because you got his brother acting like he's a chief second. He's giving instructions. Tony Morgan's giving instructions. If you're Berto, who the hell? I mean, how do you hear any of that? Berto really needs to get his corner in order. He needs to get his team in order. Because you got Tony Morgan who took you to amateur championships and took you to world championships. That's the guy that should have your ear. But your brother's over there and he's just telling you all this nonsense. Your brother's not a fighter. He's not a boxer. He's an MMA fighter, and I heard he sucks because I don't really watch that MMA shit. I respect MMA because it's combat. Those guys put their lives on the line just like fighters do. They go to training camp, they get it in. But it doesn't appeal to what I like in combat, which is sweet science. I like, your mind and your hands and, skills on display as far as boxing. I don't like all that kicking, eye gouging, or that's not my thing. I respect it though because it's combat. So, but Berto needs to get that corner in order. It was just a real bad night for him. It's unfortunate he went through a whole year, and he's gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Tough luck. Anyway, Keith Thurman. Wow, man. Keith Thurman, there's a big upside with him. One time, hey, it signals that all he needs is one time to hit your ass, and it's a wrap. It wasn't like he was in there with some dominant force, but Carlos Quintana, like Max Kellerman said, he is a spoiler. I mean, he first made his name by outboxing Joel Julio, who, just like Keith Thurman, was a KO artist. And he was being heavily promoted by main events. The media was pumping him up because of his performances against nondescript opposition. And when he got in the ring with Carlos Quintana beat the shit out of him, outboxed him bad. And I thought it was a possibility that was going to happen in this fight because Keith Thurman, he's just a bunch of raw talent. He makes mistakes in the ring, but if you've been around before, if a guy has an eraser or two, you can get away with a lot of mistakes because all it takes is one shot from you and it's good night Irene. So, but the reason why I say there's a lot of upside is because of his amateur experience, and he has a true world-class trainer in his corner by the name of Dan Birmingham. and he's been sparring world championship fighters for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So I think the learning curve for Keith Thurman is going to be real small. I don't think it will take a lot for him to pick up the things he needs to adjust to the professional game. You can't teach power, and the good thing about Keith Thurman, he don't need it to be taught anyway because he's blessed with natural power. Everything he hit Carlos Quintana with had an effect. As Carlos Quintana was really trying to move away from him the whole fight, he was trying to outbox him. He was picking his shots. He hit Keith Thurman with some pretty good shots, but Thurman was walking right through it like it wasn't even there. And every shot he hit Carlos Quintana with, man, had an effect. Carlos Quintana did not want to stop fighting, but he was on Queer Street. He got hit with that right hand, and he was looking like, Mom? He was just, I mean, the dude was just gone. He was gone on his feet. And the referee did the right thing by stopping the fight because you don't want to see no guy get, really, really hurt. Um, I can think back to a guy recently, well, not that far along ago, a guy Floyd fought named Jesus Chavez. He wasn't a champion when Floyd fought him. He was on his way to becoming a world champion. He was a top contender. But Jesus Chavez would fight for a second world title against Levander Johnson, and Levander Johnson died after the fight for sustaining injuries in the ring, for going hard, and he ended up dying in that ring. So you want to avoid that at all costs, man. If a guy's showing that it's a wrap, stop the fight. Stop the fight. So Keith Thurman is like 19-0 with 18 KOs. He's a KO artist. I mean, KO percentage is above 90%, and you can see, when he was in the ring, how guys react. They cooperate when he hits them. The boy got some big time punching power. So I have yet to really dissect what his big strengths are outside the power, and I really don't know much about his skills because it seems like he's in there to fight. He's not in there to showcase, setting guys up for combinations and stuff like that. He just looking to land shots to get you out of there. So that's why I say he's raw. He's a bunch of raw talent. So I expect Dan Birmingham to hone that talent. There will be guys in there that you can hit them all day in the head and they're not going anywhere. And you're going to have to find a way to beat them down and keep their KO percentage going. Some guys are just tough like that. So I want to see him against guys like that. But sky's the limit for him. Hatton, I don't know, man. Hatton, you can't just come back after 3 years and fight top talent, I guess. I don't even know how to say the dude's name. I don't even call him top talent, but he was highly ranked. And Hatton did show me some stuff in that fight that I hadn't seen before at some fights. He was actually trying to move his head. He was actually showing good footwork. He showed good footwork in the past, but I like last night's footwork. It was just he couldn't pull the trigger, man. He couldn't find a target. He was telegraphing those hooks, and ironically, he got beat by a punch that he usually wear guys down with your body shots, left to the body, liver shot, denied Irene. He don't have nothing to be upset about, man. I've seen active fighters, top-notch fighters, get hit with that shot, and it was over for them too. So, any guy can take that liver shot, and it's a wrap for him. It takes a lot of courage, man, to get up from that because it feels like somebody just stabbed your ass. And he just didn't make it. He didn't make the count. I guess he probably could have gotten up, but I think you add that with, damage from the fight, from shots, fatigue, and, it was just too much for him. So I think he should continue fighting as long as he lives a clean lifestyle and he's going to truly dedicate himself and continue to try to learn. Why not, man? I mean, when you can sell tickets like that, and it's not like you're just a complete bum. You do have some good attributes. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens with Mr. Hatton, but it's in all likelihood he'll probably just hang up the gloves for good because he wants to fight for a world title. I don't see why he can't. I mean, when you can sell tickets like that, and you command when a Hatton fight represents a money fight, you all of a sudden will become a voluntary defense. So I wouldn't even sweat it. You know what I'm saying? You want to fight for a world title, go right ahead. You know, I mean, many other people have done the same thing after a loss, so it's up to you. But I like to see Ricky Hatton try to continue, man. He has a lot to offer the sport, I think. But if I missed anything, I'm sure I did because I was thinking a whole lot about doing this last night. I should have did it last night where everything was fresh on my mind. But it's all good. I'll just holler at y'all next time.